tips that we're going to be sharing with you. So if you can just have a pen and paper ready, also later on, you're gonna know that we're gonna do an exercise. You're actually gonna do that offline exercise. And then the chat box. Ayan. Ang chat box para sa atin ay it's not something to try and stay away from. In this session, we invite you to really engage there. Maybe you know some of the people here in this session. Medyo maliit ang mundo natin, no? But then maybe you have new friends, you want to share your ideas. You have stories to share related to, stories we'll be sharing. So please engage in the chat box. Feel free to ask questions there. It is a space for you also, okay? So not just for us to try and do the housekeeping, it's for everybody. And then fourth, let's be reminded to be respectful towards everyone. So of course, this virtual setting, this uh all the sessions that we hold in Zoom, kahit pa parang sanay na tayo, there will be times na medyo, this space is still tricky to navigate for some of us, and I'm not really an expert here either. So let's just be kind and respectful to everybody. Everybody's trying to just get by this afternoon. And finally, share your learnings with the group. So same thing, maybe later on, you will see that you will be invited to breakout rooms. But don't worry, for the first hour, we got through. Kami muna, we'll be sharing with you stories in the plenary. In the second hour, after our break, that's when we'll be doing the breakout rooms. And there, we hope that you listen actively to your new friends, and then also unmute and participate, right? But here's the thing. It is Friday, and what time is it? Let me check. It's Friday 4:19. I'm not sure why you signed up for a webinar on a Friday afternoon. I'm not really sure. But I guess, outside all these norms, what I want you to remember also is you can make this your resting place. So Nikki and I, we agreed, that it's okay. We don't have to be super formal. It's okay. We don't have to be very rigid. If there are parts where we want to like focus more on, we can do that. But what we want you to do is to engage as you can. Kung ano yung kaya ninyo, if you want to lie down, close your eyes, just listen to our voices for now, not have to look at your screen, it's fine. But the best experience will really be through engaging maybe in the chat box, or later on, we're going to be introducing Mentimeter to you. And yeah, maganda kung makakasala din tayo doon. So at this point, ayan, let's actually try out what we're here to talk about anyway. So let's begin with a check-in, right? And for this part, I actually want you to go to mentee.com and then enter this code for us. And then I know Lacey is also pasting a link in the chat box. And you can just click that link so that you get automatically directed to the Mentimeter. We have one person in. So here on the lower right, we're able to see that. Or you can scan the QR code if you want to do that. Nikki, I know you use Menti a lot, right?
I love it. I mean, I never want any of our sessions to be just one way, because why did we even bother all gathering together? Then why didn't we just record a YouTube for you if we weren't all gonna be engaging and sharing our thoughts or insights? So that Mentimeter makes it easy with a big group. So I really hope you can participate, and we'd love to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great point, Nikki. We really value hearing from everybody here. I think we are over 100 in the Zoom. And just a reminder, I know some of us are on Facebook. Hello to our followers on Facebook. If you're there, you can also use Menti. Just go to this link. We'll meet you there. We'll meet you there. Tayo mga nasa Facebook and Zoom. And then if you are unable to join Mentimeter at this time, yung mga nasa Zoom or nasa Facebook, you can also use the chat box or the comment section. So pwede rin yun. You can just answer there. And I know in Facebook, Luigi is talking to you. Here in Zoom, Lacey is talking to us in the chat box. right? So at this point, we have 47 in. I'll wait for it to go maybe around 50s, we'll see, before I start. So at least we have half of the group in. 48, 50. Okay. All right. Shall we start, Nikki? I think, oh,
Yes.
okay. Tumataas pa siya. Sige. Anyway, hindi naman kayo may iwan. Makaka-answer pa rin kayo kahit magsimula na tayo. Right? So let's see the first one. All right. So for our first prompt, for our check-in, and so there's really no right or wrong answer here. You know, here this is our way of getting to know you a bit before we do the session. What's one word that best describes your occupation?
People. Oh, okay, okay.
People.
Some are in creatives. One is a community manager. Oh, there are students here
Student
too.
is becoming big. Yeah. Jack of all trades. That's interesting. Right? The word student is getting really big. Right? Some are in community management, I think. You have personal. Well, what else? Let's see. And then others, Nikki, I think are keying in words talking more about um how they find their occupation. So, you know, right now, maybe, for example, for me, I'm an educator. I would say that's pretty challenging. And so maybe some of those words, yung mga nakikita natin more descriptive, they're describing their actual occupation, right? So human, I love that. I see there's the word human. Some of us are sharing that we're in HR as well,
Yeah, and
right?
management.
Clerical. Mhm.
It's a huge mix of
Tumabingi
people.
talaga yung ulo ko. All right. So thank you. Thanks for letting us know who's in the room. Let's see. Some of us, I'm looking at the chat box now. There's some sharing there too. They're describing their current occupation as challenging, you know, offers diversity. Service is another word we're looking at. Clinical, right? Getting bigger and bigger. And I see that we have more people in Mentee, right? Thank you for sharing your responses to the first one. I'll go to the second prompt, right? We want to know how you're feeling actually from the week. Whoops. Oh, yeah. I can't seem to go to the next one. Oops. Okay, let me just. There you go. There. Are we seeing it? I hope you
Yes.
can see the second prompt. All right.
Curious
So
to
for the
know.
second prompt, ooh, did people get out of Mentee? Yeah. So if you're still in Mentee, yeah, please do that for us. Describe how the week has been for you. And we know it's Friday afternoon, right? Nikki, what's your answer to this?
It's not yet over. I still have
Really?
so many things to do. But still busy. But how about you, Selena? How is your week going?
I'd say thriving. Thriving
Yeah.
would be a good word. Yeah. Look, yeah, thankfully it is gonna be over by 6 p.m. when we finish this session. There were so many workshops, so many sessions and webinars that we facilitated this week, but I think they were pretty good. They were pretty good. Yeah. Thanks for asking, Nikki. Let's check.
Some people are
So
also
with the
sharing the
group,
chat box. So yes, don't let Mentimeter limit you if it's difficult for you to access that. We still love to hear from you in the chat box. So I'm wishing everyone
ooh,
well.
yeah, Jeffrey shared that they're having their first day of classes tomorrow. So yeah, it's definitely not yet over. Maybe it's another, it's something new is beginning tomorrow. And then here on Menti, we're looking at, some of us are feeling quite meh. This week is quite meh. So um, a good number of us actually parang ikaw, Nikki, the week's not yet over. And also, I see that a good number are thriving, similar to my answer. But then again, a reminder for everybody that not everyone is there with not everyone has very high energy right now. Maybe the week maybe just meh or so for some. So we know that maybe it's something to consider for us as we engage with everyone here in this 2 hour session, right? Thank you, Rodel, for sharing. This mentee.com is fun. You know what's beautiful, Nikki? We were talking about this also yesterday. I want you to try and visualize this, but every single dot on your screen is an actual person, you know? It's an actual person. Imagine that. And that's something I think no these days we tend to forget that the people behind their screens are actual people. Sometimes we just see them now as, messages, emails, right? But these dots, they're actual people, plus the ones on Facebook and the ones in the chat box too, right? Now, I am going to the third and last prompt. I don't know why I can't seem to move
Even
my
the
mentee.
button doesn't work, Selena.
No, it doesn't work. So I kind of have to go out and then back in.
Okay.
Sorry about that, but thank you for being kind and patient, right? So what we're doing now, the third prompt is we want to know what brought you here. Why are you here with us? Even if you could already be having your weekend. What do you hope to get out of this session? And in the chat box, I'll also have a look if some are responding there. Learn new things. Mm,
And more ideas for
interesting.
check-ins. I have been with I was with Habi for about 3 years. And every time I still jump into a meeting with Habi, I still get more ideas for how to do a check-in. So I think we'll definitely get that done. You will get more ideas, even if that's something you've done before.
Yeah. And as someone who uses check-ins daily, I'm also here to learn from you, from everybody. Because later on, you'll be making your own prompts, right? And for sure, the prompts you'll come up with, it's not really stuff that we haven't thought of everything yet. We're here to learn from everyone. But it's great to know, no, Nikki, na actually some of us are already familiar with check-ins. So this is not necessarily new to everybody. I'm also reading some of the responses here on Menti. Learn to connect better, right? To chill. There you go. Yes, we love that. For
Thanks
your
for being with us
studies,
on a Friday. This is really our hangout.
right? Right. A new mindset. Yeah, that's very interesting because after all, this workshop series that we have, it's learning to change. So for this first one in Happy Live, it's learning to change team cultures. So definitely some mindsets we'll have to go back to, and maybe some new mindsets to try and accommodate. Nice.
Yeah,
And Nikki, yeah,
I'm
go
seeing
ahead.
here that some people want to learn something new. Some people are already familiar with how to do check-ins and they just want to improve and deepen that practice. Some people here are hoping to make a change at work. Maybe you're feeling cynical at work, as I'm seeing here, or maybe this connecting with people at work is not something you're used to doing. So hopefully you have a after your practice here, you'd be more confident doing that. And I'm also seeing here that some people are, um, just not just here to play and have fun and chill. So all of those things, I think we will be able to to check all of them. So yes, I'm already
Yeah.
having fun with you guys right now.
Yeah. Thank you. We hope to, yes, bring you good vibes this afternoon. But thank you for checking in, everybody, in the chat box. We do have some responses there also to gain knowledge. In Facebook, let me check with Luigi actually. Luigi, before I proceed to my to the
Yes.
slides. There you go. Luigi, what are we saying on Facebook? What are we seeing?
Yeah, we have a lot. As of now, we have 63 live viewers in Facebook right now, and some of them
Mm.
are saying that this week has been so busy for them.
Oh,
Edward said that they little bit struggled, po, pero laban lang. Nancy saying that a bit stressful, but this webinar can help change a perspective and mindset. But most of them are really excited to know about check-ins in general and to know more about how to
Mhm.
do it, how to do check-ins, how to do check-ins in
Mhm.
their homes, in their families, in school, and in their workplaces. There.
Exciting. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Luigi, for sharing. And hello to everybody on Facebook. We know there's a bit of a lag when you're on Facebook, no? Pero okay lang yun. Luigi will help us catch up. So thank you for still being with us. So just to share with you how we're going to structure our session this afternoon, our learning journey will look like this. So what, why, and how. We'll start with what is a check-in. We'll be defining that, trying to make sense of it and we'll go next to why are check-ins important for building positive team cultures. This is where we'll get a lot of help from Nikki. And then finally, in the second hour, we're going to talk about how. How might we use check-ins? So I know a lot of you are here for the how part. But of course, I know you know this, that we have to, talk about the foundations. What's the reasoning behind these check-ins anyway before we start getting creative, right? But definitely, you can expect a more hands-on experience in this second hour. And also, I want to let you know, if you don't already, that this workshop is actually something we're bundling, or it's actually very much aligned with this the check-in playbook. So I know that some of you already have it. Some of you have ordered it when you signed up. Let me know in the chat box also if you already have it. I would love to know. But this thing right here, since we printed the check-in playbook Lacey, when did we print it? 2 months ago? I'm not sure. But since we printed this, I've had this copy here just on my desk for anything that I will go into, for any meeting, any huddle, any session, workshop. It has been very, very useful. And we'll be basing a lot of our conversations on the book, although um, actually, in the webinar, we will offer some new things. Because as we prototype the use of this, habang ginagamit namin siya, we realize na, you know what? Maybe we should add this bit or that bit. So you'll get some bonus info actually here, right? Um, but for now, let me begin with what is a check-in anyway. So a check-in, we can describe it in two ways. First is as a prompt, and second is as an activity. So as a prompt, it's a question or say how do you describe a prompt? Yeah, it's a prompt. It's a question, a prompt that allows us facilitators, particularly who give that prompt, to sense the needs, motivations, and feelings of our participants at a given time, right? But then later on, you're going to realize that it's not just for facilitators, it's for everybody. So that's check-ins as a prompt. Now, check-ins can also be approached as an activity. So it's an activity particularly that we do at the start. So sa simula talaga siya nangyayari, start of a session. And here's the important part. The intention of the check-in is to understand where people are coming from, right? Well, so if we just go back to today's check-in prompts, kanina, diba, in Mentee, we asked you this. One word that best describes your occupation. How has the week been for you? And what do you hope to get out of the session? These are check-in prompts, right? But check-in as an activity might look something like this. You might be in the picture if you're if you're one of our Habi participants, pre-COVID, when we would do these face-to-face sessions, the check-in is actually paano to, tawag natin dito, check-in circle. It doesn't matter how large the group is. So in that picture above, that's like 120, I think 120 people plus the 10 Habi facilitators. We like to gather in a circle, and then the facilitator gives a prompt, and then we just all answer the prompt. Lahat, all 120 plus 10 Habi facilitators. And then now, in the maybe the virtual setting, we still do it. We still do it. And then here in the photo, you can see it's not just about talking and sharing, words. Sometimes it can be an offline check-in, and we'll tell you more about it later on, right? So at this point, I want to share with you why. Kasi baka nagtataka kayo, dala kung familiar na kayo sa work ng Habi, alam nyo to, lagi tayong nag-check-in, right? But why do we actually begin with a check-in? So I want you now to go back to Mentimeter for me, right? So I'll flash again the QR code in a bit, but we're gonna answer this question. How do you typically start meetings, classes, workshops, org assemblies? Maybe if you're a student, how do you typically start your meetings, check-ins, sessions, classes, right? So now, here we go again. I'm gonna need to exit it again. Do you have any idea, Nikki, why that happened?
Oh no, but I think it's working naman. It also gives people time to think before they type. So it's all right. Some hiccups
That's
with it.
beautiful. Oh, I see it. So how do you typically start meetings, classes, or workshops? And this is going to be a word cloud. So if you can key in one word, it will help us to see patterns here. Ooh, prayer, kumustahan, some small talk, emoji for the day. Prayer is getting big, no? Agenda. What else are we seeing, Nikki?
A recap, maybe of the last meeting that you were a part of.
Right. Icebreaker. Meron bang naglagay ng Zumba?
Another
Hindi ka sure
person
kung
said,
nagzi-Zumba pa.
well, part yun ng icebreakers. Another person said, introducing the topic. So some get straight into the what it is that you're going to be discussing. Attendance, I can imagine usually with some school in schools and in workplaces, diba, that's the first thing. Who's here? Let's just do a round.
Right. And I've experienced this, It's like, okay, clock in, and then it goes like, everybody should type the word present at this particular minute. When the clock strikes 9, everybody types present in the chat box. Ganun yung unang nangyayari. Right. But then also to acknowledge, some of the other words here. Look, the word kumustahan is quite big. Small talk is quite big also. Diba? So these things na siguro mas informal, mas casual, ganyan, they still happen. Meron ding nakalagay yun, next presenter please, or on camera, clear the air, ganyan. Right? Short kumustahan. So there are different ways by which we start our meetings, and we start our meetings, classes, sessions, our times together. And some of those we saw also in the mentee that you just answered. So agenda, for example, or sometimes, you go into a Zoom, a webinar or something. The first thing they tell you are the rules. Do this, don't do this, don't do that, right? Or Nikki mentioned a while ago, attendance. Everyone's gonna go like, please turn on your camera so we know you're here, right? And I wonder, how does it make you feel when these are the ways that we start our sessions, workshops, meetings? Bigla ang recitation or short long quiz, meron din ganung mga start. When these are the ways we start our sessions, how do you think this makes participants feel? You can maybe just let me know in the chat box if you're here with us in Zoom or in the comment section of Facebook. How do you think these make our participants feel? Nikki, have you experienced these starts to like a meeting or a session?
Yeah, for sure. And I think I even started sessions that way prior to joining Habi. And I think how it made me feel and how I made people feel was that our interactions are purely transactional. That I'm not really caring or seeing you as a human being. I just need to know, are you fulfilling the objectives that I need you to fulfill for my purpose? So when we start with an agenda, typically it feels transactional for me. And I know I was also someone who pushed for people feeling transactional as well.
Right. Nikki, you made a really good point there, actually, that these things that are flashed on the screen right now, these are sometimes these are things that we also do, no? Hindi naman tayo parang immune din sa mga ganito. Sometimes, ganito, hindi natin mapigilan na ganito tayo magsimula. And then in the chat box also, some are sharing the words, I'll share some words, toxic, formal, but also mako-conscious ka, you're more aware of your actions. Ay, shucks, naka-unmute ba ako? Ay, shucks, naka-on na ba camera ko? Maybe nakaka-conscious. And I can tell maybe in a class setting like in higher ed, yung kapag on yung camera mo or you're asked to, put the word present in the chat box, ganyan. And for some reason, your devices aren't really working very well yet. Kumbaga, nag-warm up pa sila. It can be embarrassing because then, na-highlight yung difficulty mo, yung challenge mo, right? But it's not all bad. Let's also stress that. It's not all bad. Some of us make an effort also to do small talk, kumustahan, chit chat, right? We saw those responses in Mentimeter. And I think what's beautiful about that is you get to connect on a more personal level, right? And then here, looking back to today's check-ins now, we asked you about your occupation, just to know, where you're from, who's here with us in the call, because it's quite a big group, how the week has been for you, and what you hope to get out of the session. I want to ask you now, same thing in the chat box or in the comment section of Facebook, can you let us know, how did it feel to check in at the start of the session? How did it feel to check in at the start of the session?
Ash said, ito. Exactly. And that was our hope, right? For you to just enjoy this Friday thing. Don't make it feel like a webinar. Just make it feel like we're all hanging out together.
Oh, I also didn't use Menti deliberately, Nikki, as you noticed. No, I stopped using Menti because I'm like, you know what? Let's just talk here. Nikki, ikaw, the first time you experienced a check-in, kumbaga may nagpa-check-in sa'yo, you're part of a group. How did you feel the first time you experienced it? Or parang naalala mo, kung may naalala ka.
Well, actually, it's always been hard for me to express how I am. And so I usually avoid that question. But with a check-in, I really feel like, wow, you really are asking me and you're not going to move on until I really give you something. So I really feel seen and heard in that moment. And I know people won't let me escape until I actually share something. How about you?
Right. I'm not gonna lie, Nikki. The first time I experienced a check-in was with Habi talaga. When I was a new member in Habi, maybe, I don't know, 3, 4 years ago? I don't know. Medyo na-weird din ako. Na-weird din talaga ako. Sabi ko, bakit may ganito? And, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people feel that way when they're asked how they are in a professional setting or, an academic setting. Because I'll go back to, what I said when I was introducing myself. It seems as though, as adults, we've forgotten how to ask people how they are. It seems as though there's no place for feelings or for, just being a person outside being a boss, a professional, a team leader, a colleague. So nagulat ako. I was actually quite surprised. But syempre eventually mas na rin, parang wala, sanay na sanay ka na. And it's important also to note na kunwari sa Habi, it's a psychologically safe space for me already. So itong check-ins, wala. I love it. I look forward to it. Minsan nakakatakot lang pa ikaw yung mag-iisip ng check-in. Gusto mo maging creative, ganun. Pero subukan natin i-solve it today.
So for everyone who initially felt that way, like Selena, or maybe you checked in with someone and they found it weird, we're hearing from Selena that there's actually hope. You can be converted and you might eventually love this check-in prompt. And I just want to read that. Go on, Selena.
Yeah, go.
No, go for it.
I think we were going to do the same thing.
Yeah, reading from the chat box, like for instance, I'm seeing Christian said, the facilitators want to know me and my mental disposition, and Lori Bell as well said, na somebody cares. And my big struggle at the beginning of moving from face-to-face trainings to these digital Zoom trainings instead was it's such a deep motivation for me that every time I encounter any person in a training that I could look at them and really give them my attention and show them that I care. And I feel like in the Zoom world or in the online world, maybe some people are seeing na, oh, if I vanished from here, would it really matter? But like just being able to hear your responses, I hope like Lori Bell and um everyone else, Christian, like everyone checking in, Jenny Lou, Gian, I'm really reading everything, and I'm really hoping that me acknowledging like as much as I can, I'll acknowledge names, and I'm really hoping that you feel that we care. That was our intention with the check-ins. We're reading all of your responses, even if we can't read them out loud, but we're reading everyone, and like I'm really sending good thoughts, and like I really hope everyone here feels like we care, and that's why we did that check-in.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you. Thank you for sharing in the chat box, everybody. We won't do that anymore. But I guess here, I'll share this point. And that's also what we saw, no, and in your sharings, how you felt after checking in at the start of this session. A check-in, we now know, we see it, we experienced it. It's a simple tool that makes experiences feel human. Because usually you go into sessions, we go into a webinar, we have expectations that, hey, okay, I'm here, they're experts, I'm gonna listen and all that. But hey, we're human. Everybody's human. That's a good reminder for us. And just to share with you this image here, grabe kasi yung work from home situation natin, no? Yung expectation versus reality. Um, Alongside those assumptions about what webinars should be, what sessions should be, what meetings should look like, how facilitators should be portraying themselves and all, alongside all those assumptions, meron din tayong assumptions about how everyone in the call is currently feeling, or how they are positioned, or how they're set up in their homes. And here in these images, you can see na ito nakikita ninyo sa akin right now in this frame, no? I mean, it looks relatively calm, but I can tell you right now, my dog is starting to bark and I'm getting anxious, you know? But how will you even know that? How will you even know that? Or say, my internet is kind of not cooperating with me. If you have the same problem, raise your hand. Yeah. But those things, those little things, like, okay, I have something cooking in the kitchen because I have to prepare for my family. And I'm kind of, caught between two things right now. These are very important human things right now, which we will not know about if we don't bother to ask. Right? And I guess it's really good for us to look at check-ins as beneficial to both. And let me know if you felt this also. In the chat box, keep on engaging with us, please. As a participant, what a check-in does is it allows you to share your context. Kanina, di ba, nakita natin, napakilala ninyo yung sarili ninyo. You get to express your needs somehow. Maybe hindi masyado na, uy, gutom na ako, guys. Diba? Kaya wala, hindi naman ganun ka-literal. But even just asking about how your week has been so far, I know that Nikki has more work lined up. Her week's not over yet. So I know she might need, just a balanced, chill afternoon with us. And then I read this in the chat box earlier. Let me see if I can find it. But somebody said this. Jen said this. It gave her time to warm up and feel at ease. Diba? It's also one of the benefits for participants. They ease into the session. Unti-unti lang. Wag naman yung tipong, present. Ka na ba? Yan. So, easing into the session. And finally, you also get to know where other participants are coming from. Diba? Habang nag-engage tayo sa check-in, hindi lang kami yung nakikilala ninyo, kahit kami pa lang yung nagsasalita the whole time with Luigi. You also know where other participants are coming from, and maybe, just maybe, you feel connected with one or two who are feeling the same way as you, right? But here's what I want to let you know. As a facilitator, the benefits of this also. One, well, it's the same thing. It applies to me also. As a facilitator, I get to share my context, express my needs, ease into the session, and know where everyone's coming from. But also, it allows me to get to know the participants Even the fact that, some of you were in mentee, some were in the chat box, some were maybe not yet ready to respond, even those little details allow me to get to know you as participants. And then second, your check-ins, we use them to adjust the session to accommodate your needs para mas fit sa context ninyo. Kasi kung sinabi ninyo na, alam mo, biglang lahat pala ng participants natin dito ay estudyante. For example lang, lahat pala ay estudyante. Tapos ang salita kami ng salita ni Nikki, sabi namin lahat workplace, workplace, workplace. Diba? Parang may disconnect. So as a facilitator, if you know that, say, from the expectations also, you're here for a chill afternoon, okay, let's give you chill. You're here for tips, okay, we'll focus more on that in the second hour. We'll give you tips. And then lastly, yun nga, as facilitator, it allows you to prioritize activities that they're aligned with the participants' goals and intentions. So both, no, as participant and as facilitator, you have benefits there, right? There you go. So what I want us here to remember now is a check-in, aside from making experiences feel human, a check-in actually invites us to take care of one another during our time together. Because, ang daming input, di ba? Ang dami ninyong nalaman tungkol sa mga kasama natin, tungkol sa amin, in just like the first 15 minutes of this session. And that input that you're getting, it's not for nothing na parang, okay, nice to know. It's not just that. But it's actually an invitation for us to take care of one another during our time together. And actually, I will ask Nikki here, why is that even important? Especially in like a professional or maybe an academic setting, in a more formal setting. Why is it even important that we think about the humanness of things, for us to think about taking care of one another? Why can't we just get the job done? So,
Yeah, something something I always say is that before I come from a workplace setting where we talk about human resources, but I think it's true wherever you are in your teams or in schools, anything. What I always say is, before human resources, before they are resources, they are actually human. So it's not enough to just think of a person as a tool to get to your goal, a person that you can assign something to so that you get to the company's KPIs, or maybe a group mate that you ask them to do something so that you can fulfill the project. Everyone, like before we are our roles or resources, we are first human, and it's so important to acknowledge that humanity in everyone that you meet. And that's why it's so important. Like check-ins is really a pathway to acknowledge the humanity in each person.
That's really nice. Nikki, do you want to start controlling my screen? Yeah, there
Yes,
you
I'm
go.
for that control. So how do check-ins contribute to positive team cultures? I'm here to share with you the geekier side of things. So we all know we are in a pandemic. We are experiencing the COVID-19 pandemic, and we shifted from being with each other face to face to connecting online. We had to physically distance from each other to keep each other safe. And in some ways, we feel farther away from each other, not just in distance, but also in emotion and connection. So, whoops. So here are the challenges of remote work on connection and belonging. Maybe a lot of you can resonate with this. Share with us in the chat box. When we shifted into talking online or working remotely, was there more ineffective communication? Before, our seeing each other and being in each other's presence made communication easier, but being apart has led to ineffective communication. We have also struggled with making the technology work. Suddenly, we were trying to find the equivalent of like how can we do team building together? How can we use Zoom instead to just approach one person? We've been having challenges about making the technology work, and of course, the biggest thing that we experience up to today is that loneliness and the isolation. It's just harder to connect to people, harder to see nuances in how they are when we're physically distanced from each other. So there's a need for high quality connections. One, it will boost motivation. Second is it helps us with our health. And the third is it really helps us with our well-being. So I want to discuss each of those. First, I want to talk to you about intrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation is the purest kind of motivation. So you can think of motivation as being on a spectrum. On the very left, that is a motivation, or that's feeling not motivated at all. Because sometimes we've experienced that, or we've seen that in others. It's like they just don't have the energy, the strength to do what it is that they want to do. So that's on the very left side. Sometimes what we do in those cases is we motivate them with external rewards like money or praise or a toy if it's a child, or if it's a prize. In school, I'll give you candy, we'll send over a prize to you, something like that. That's extrinsic motivation. And the tricky thing about that is once you remove that reward, that external thing that motivates a person, that person will no longer be motivated to do what it is that they want to do. So whenever we are hoping to motivate others, the big goal really is to build intrinsic motivation. That feeling that someone is so enjoying what they're doing, they inherently love it, so much so that if you took away the rewards, if you took away the recognition and the praise, they would still do it. That's the purest kind of motivation that we aspire for when we influence others to do something good. And the key ingredient, one of the key ingredients of intrinsic motivation, as we know through research, is actually that feeling of connection with each other. So if you feeling connected to one another is really important to intrinsic motivation. So if you're feeling kind of bleh, you're not motivated to do anything, one thing to ask yourself is, do you still feel connected to people, whether it's people around you, people you work with, or even your family? That's a really big ingredient to motivation. And another thing to consider is it's important to connect with each other, because in the absence of connection, you will experience loneliness. And on the physiological level, loneliness is a stress state. And if you have prolonged loneliness, you will have higher levels of inflammation in your body. And down the line, that will lead to illness. There's even research that shows that if you are if you're feeling lonely, that has the same health implications as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. So if we take care of ourselves enough to avoid smoking 15 cigarettes a day, we should also be taking care of ourselves to not feel lonely, because loneliness has really bad impacts on our health, and connection can help you from feeling lonely, from warding off that loneliness. And loneliness also has implications at work. So research has found that people who are lonely are less committed, they're less approachable, and down the line, they are the ones who receive a lower rating from their supervisor. So loneliness, if you find ways to address it, you're also able to boost performance. So my question is, please answer in the chat box, how many connections do you think it takes to eradicate loneliness, to help a person not feel lonely anymore? How many does it take? When I was going through the research of this, I was thinking, for instance, how many were we in Habi when we were all together? We were about 12 at that time. So I'm thinking, okay, I need 12 people so that I don't feel lonely. And the people who are answering here in the chat box, you've got it right. Patrice, Dre, Robbie, Michaela, Erica, Christian, Rose Angeli, Red, Lacey, Camille, very spot on. And everyone else who's saying one. It just takes one person to help you to remove that loneliness. You don't need your entire barangay to connect with you. You don't need a big party. You don't need a large team. Just one person showing concern for you is already enough. And I think you can go through memories in your life. Now you felt really down, but one person showed concern for you And that was enough to really remove that feeling of loneliness. It didn't have to be everyone, it just needed to be one person. And that's based on Jane Dutton's research. Lacey has also shared this wonderful TED Talk in the chat box. I hope you check that out. The next question naman is this. What is the minimum duration? Let's use the unit in minutes for a positive caring interaction to make a measurable impact on both people. So how long do we have to be interacting with each other for that interaction to boost both our well-being? And again, my guess was I, oh gosh, if you knew me, I think people in Habi know me. If you know me, I can stay on the phone for hours, or I could sit with you and just really listen to you. So I was thinking, maybe 180 minutes, because I'm chatty like that, and I love to listen. But I'd love to hear your guesses in the chat box. So Lacey's guess is 3. Erica, Michaela, Rose Angeli said 1. Ivy said 5. Robbie said 2 to 5. Dre said 5. Others are saying 5, 2 to 5, or 1. I think a simple kamusta can already have an impact. You are spot on, Irene. You intuitively know the research that I did not do as I was going through and studying all of these things. So it just takes one. And so you don't, sometimes the reason that we don't check in on each other, or care about, sometimes we feel like helping another person avoid feeling lonely is such a huge responsibility, because I'm thinking, shucks, do I have 2 hours today to check in on someone? But you are spot on in the chat box. It doesn't take a long time. It just takes 1 minute. So for instance, you're beginning your meeting, and you were able to express, for instance, over the pandemic, it just took me like 1 minute to express na I'm hungry, but I'm not going out because there's a lot of tension in my family and I'm too scared to go out and grab lunch. And then just one person said, like, Nikki, I hope you can step out and just run quickly to your kitchen and then grab something and run back to your room. And just that quick 1 minute connection really made me feel like she cared about me. She heard what I had to say. And that quick minute just, helped me feel like, okay, at least I got to say, and you acknowledge the difficulty that I am feeling. So it doesn't take a lot of time. It takes 1 minute. And so my call to action to all of you here is, you could be that one person giving that 1 minute to someone. And when you are able to help them with their loneliness, you see all of the benefits, from their health to their motivation and improving their well-being. It could mean so much. And this little investment in our team and each other is something that can really change our culture and make our teams feel more welcoming, feel like a better place to be in. It doesn't take a lot. It just takes one person checking in for 1 minute. And of course, this is my study, I love positive psychology, and like, we've studied so many frameworks on positive psychology. There's the PERMA model by the founder of positive psychology, Martin Seligman. There's the basic psychological needs framework by Ryan and Desi, who have been studying well-being for over 2 decades already. So there's so much research on the different aspects of well-being. Can you guess in the chat box, of all of the different elements that you're seeing on the screen, which one do you think is the most robust or the highest predictor of well-being? Among all of the elements out there, what do you think is the highest predictor of well-being? So Erwin said relationships. Aaron said relationships also. Yeah, Irene, same, relatedness. Robbie, Angelita, Dre. Yes, you're all correct. It's actually relationships. And I think this is especially true for us in the Filipino culture. Now the world could be melting down. Everything's going crazy. But somewhere in the world, someone cares for you. And that's enough to safeguard your well-being. So if I were to ask people to, if if there's one big investment in taking care of your well-being that I would ask you to take as a first step, it based on research and based on what I've experienced in the Filipino community, it's relationships. So you checking in is a way to build that feelings of relatedness, contribute to those relationships. And if you're able to do that, you would already boost well-being. So I just want to make one last benefits of these like high quality connections. So this is the research of Jane Dutton, and she says, you don't really need to have a consistent BFF or like someone, even like a romantic relationship, a wife, a husband, a girlfriend, a boyfriend. It's not necessary for well-being. In fact, just high quality connections or these micro moments when you really connect with a individual in front of you, when you really see the humanity in each other, these are all the benefits. In organizations, you're able to enhance cooperation, have greater attachment between each other and the organization, and an increased adaptability. In teams, there's better learning. People are more adaptive and more creative when there are high quality connections. And among individuals, you can increase your capacity to think and create. You will boost your physiological health, and you can increase your capacity to adapt and be resilient. So it's not necessary that you need to have a relationship or you need to be best friends or you need to be consistently talking to each other every day for an hour. You need a husband, a wife, someone in your team to be with you all the time. Just a moment creating a high quality connection, even if it's someone that you will never see again, can have all of these benefits. And that is why doing check-ins, which builds high quality connections among people, is so important. You will be able to receive all of these benefits in organizations, in teams, and among individuals. So many benefits of checking in, and that I shared with you why it's so important to check in. So I'll turn it over back to you, Selena.
Right. Thanks, Nikki. Thank you for that sharing. Like some of these stories, because I also attend workshops of positive workplaces. Like suki din ako dyan. And I've heard some of them, but hearing them again and again and again, it's like I'm hearing it for the first time. Just how you tell it, how especially that your point to, I don't know, one person, 1 minute. I love that because sometimes when I introduce check-ins to my students, and then they feel like, but and maybe some of you are thinking this also. I'm not the facilitator. I'm not really a team leader. Like I'm an employee. I am the member. I am the participant. So is this something for me? But that's it. Nikki just said it. It takes just one person, 1 minute. So it doesn't have to be this big group all the time. You have your Mentimeter and stuff. One person, just ask them how they are. 1 minute. It doesn't have to take so much time, right? And then we are going to actually take a break shortly. We're going to the last point of our learning journey, which is the how. So aside from those one person, 1 minute tips there, how might we use check-ins is going to be your big question for the rest of this session. But at this point, I'm going to invite everybody to go on a break. I think, Luigi, we can afford 5 minutes, no? 5 minutes. So please go ahead, stretch first, take a break, get your water. We'll also do that. And then when we come back, what you can expect is that last point in the learning journey. Plus, we're gonna do the we're gonna make prompts, and then also you're gonna go into breakout rooms, right? Thank you, everybody. Luigi, I'll stop sharing my screen now. All right. Oops, my camera. There we go. Right. So, welcome back. We hope you had a break somehow. Let's see. Okay. So, if you are back with us in the Zoom or in Facebook, let us know. Just type here back, or better yet, let me pause there. Let's have a check up. Instead, I want you to share how much energy, what's your energy level like right now? So let's check the time. 5:17. It's 5:17. How much energy do you have right now? 1 to 100. Wow, Nikki. I love that. Okay. So you see it's quite a big range we're looking at. Kim, we see you. Thank you for sticking with us. Please engage in a way that works for you. That's fine,
I love how Aaron is so
right?
precise. It's 64.5.
Mm-hmm.
0.5
Oo
matter.
nga. Si Richard then, Nikki, 43.25. Yeah. All right. Let's see, 50% still at work. Oh, some of them are joining us and they're still at work, no?
Wow, give
Nako,
the sense.
oo nga. Itong mga ano, no? Okay lang. So, as we said earlier, if you want to just listen to us, ganyan. Sana huwag kayo marindi sa mga bosses namin. We still have around 40 minutes to go. So, at least for this next part, actually, this one, it's gonna be medyo mas hands-on. This is where you really get to try the experience already. Okay? Thanks for checking in. Also to our friends over sa Facebook. We hope you are still there and that we're learning a lot from one another right now. In terms of our learning journey, just looking at this map we're following, we're now going to the last part where we're concerned with how we might actually do check-ins in whatever setting we're in, you know, whether we're with a company, it's for your team, it's for your organization, it's for your student org, it's for your class, let's see how we can use check-ins in different contexts, right? So how do we do check-ins? Let's start with this. When we set up a check-in, we don't, because the impression sometimes that we get, parang, basta it has to be a creative prompt. Ganyan. Just say it. Ganun. But actually, there's a lot of thinking that goes behind even facilitating a check-in. So one, it's very important that we set our intention. Why do you even want to host a check-in? What is your intention? Is it to be fun, to be, to seem like a light facilitator, fun facilitator? Is it that? Or do we genuinely want to know how everyone is feeling? And remember, that's the purpose of check-ins, right? So we set our intention. And then second is we actually think of the norms. What should participants know about how to check in? Later on, I'm going to detail this for you kung ano yung mga usual na sinasabi naming norms. So parang dito may isip natin, it might be your mechanics, it might be your instructions, and then you proceed to actually giving your prompt. So thinking about your prompt. So based on your intention and the norms that we can afford to actually do also, yeah, what could be a good prompt? What's a prompt that will elicit genuine and useful responses from participants? So gusto natin genuine and useful, diba? And then lastly, ito, and sometimes we forget this, processing. If you ask people a question and they tell you, they open up their hearts, they bare their souls to you, and they tell you how they're feeling, how will you even process that input? Right? So processing is also very important. How can we help one another process these sharings? So allow me to go through these things one by one. But for now, let me tell you what we like to do in Habi particularly. In physical spaces now, so that like pre-COVID, like we love doing check-in circles. And the reason why we do it in a circle, hopefully this is something we can look forward to doing sometime soon again, when we have face-to-face sessions. We do it in a circle so that everyone feels that pantay-pantay lahat. In that circle, we make sure na hindi siya yung parang circle na Nasiksik naman yung iba, nasa labas, naipit lang sila doon. But everyone is literally part of that circle and you see everybody. We make sure that, when you look around, you see every single person in the room, right? And what we like to do then, I don't know how it's gonna happen. Ngayong may COVID na, pag bumalik na tayo. But we pass the mic around there, or kung kaya naman, we ask people to talk loudly. Okay, how are you feeling today? One word, tas iikot siya. Yan. Ganun in physical spaces. It helps din yung feeling of being in that circle and just, I'm ready. And also they feel quite alert during the check-in. So they're able to actively listen to the check-ins of others. But now we know, and Nikki mentioned this earlier also, virtual spaces, these spaces where we're working right now, they're a lot trickier. Ang hirap i-navigate, diba? Hirap mag-build ng mga connections na yan. But then in Habi, we've devised meron tayong mga pandemic inventions. May mga tactics tayong na buo habang nag-check-in tayo in maybe mga 2 years na virtual lang lahat. Ask for cameras on where possible. And I want to remind you where possible. So we don't force people to turn on their cameras. Instead, we invite them. If this is available to you, because maganda yun na yun, nakikita natin yung isa't isa, diba? Kahit sandali lang, even just for check-ins, we like to do that. Let's turn on our cameras so that we see one another. And as a facilitator, here's something important also. If you want people to see one another, you might want to consider pausing from sharing your slides para talagang makita nila yung isa't isa. Or pwede rin naman turuan natin sila na, okay, if you were on Zoom, ganyan, check the gallery view, make sure you're using the gallery view, ganyan, para kita talaga lahat at the same time. So it kind of mimics that circle experience. Next is we like to offer the chat box for those who cannot unmute. So, acknowledging our realities in the work from home setting, even the limitations of our devices sometimes na, kunwari, like right now, I'm alone in my space. I'm able to facilitate. I can unmute freely, ganyan. But some are in shared spaces. They cannot necessarily just unmute and, speak. So we have to give them options. We like to give them options also. For the, kanina, diba? Pwede nyo rin gamitin yung chat box. Next one is trying offline check-ins. Ito is something that we try to do also. Kasi diba sabi nga ni Kim, 7 a.m. pa. Sa Zoom na siya. Nakakapagod talagang tumingin sa screen. Diba? Nakakapagod din talaga. Mafafatigue ka din talaga doon. So why not use the check-in as a short break to have some off-screen time? So later on, I'll show you what that might look like. And then finally, using Mentimeter to capture patterns and visualizations, especially for large groups. So, punta muna ako dito before the norms. So some, yung sinabi ko sa inyo na offline, off-screen rather, check-in. And this is the Habi team, our very small Habi team. We did a check-in here. I think it was Tristan who invited us to do this, but the prompt was share how you're feeling by just scribbling on a piece of paper, and then you're not supposed to lift your pen. Kaya may kita nyo madaming mga squiggly lines and all. Just share how you're feeling by doodling on a piece of paper. Yan. And then everyone can just hold it up, or pwede ring they hold it up and they talk a bit about it. We can make that option available. Or hold it up, make sure that nakikita nila kasi yung mga nakakatawa dyan, nakatakip yung mukha nila. Tapos walang nakakakita ng check-in ng ibang tao. So titingnan din natin talaga yung experience. Now, how do we make sure people are getting the input that will be useful for everybody, right? And then here, actually, Nikki, I'll invite you because I know you love Mentimeter, right? Nikki, how has it been beneficial for you to use Mentimeter, especially yung mga ganito check-ins when we have prompts and all?
Yeah, because I mentioned before that, if it were a face-to-face setup, the 126 people would have probably had a chance where, you see me looking at you, or I will approach you, or I'll chit-chat you. And now that I can't have access to that, I still want everyone to feel connected to each other. And Mentimeter has been such a helpful tool for me, because when I read responses, a lot of people have acknowledged that, hey, I felt seen and heard. You read out my response. I had a participant tell me that it feels like like a DJ doing like a shout out, and she just felt like not an anonymous person, but someone who really mattered in that space. And being able to see and read out everything on Mentimeter has helped me make people feel seen and validated and a part of the learning as well.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And also, Nikki, ito naman yung this particular kind na, is it, I think it's the dots. That's what you call it, the dots type naman. Kanina, and when we used it also, diba? Even just realizing that each dot is an actual human being, diba? It's a nice reminder to see that. It's a nice reminder. And if you look at the numbers on the lower right, when we use Mentimeter, ito, makikita ninyo, 220 yung gumamit nito in that workshop that we facilitated. If I don't use Mentimeter, my default would be, hindi ko pwede unmute, no? Na 220 tayo, tapos mag-unmute lahat, magsasalita. In smaller groups, we like to do that, mag-unmute, especially if you have the luxury of time, if you're not really in a rush. But then for big groups, this is a really good way to make everyone feel na pasok sila, kasali sila, para kasya lahat, right? And then, tingnan nyo lang din yung experience na pag sa chat box. What if I do it with, ito, we're 127 right now. If I ask you to check in through the chat box, ito, do me a favor right now and type a random number in the chat box. Any number, just type it for me. There you go. See how fast that goes, right? And I'm like, nasa na yun? Ano nga ba yung sinabi ni Ash? Ano nga ba sinabi ni Gray, ni Ivy? Right? Thank you. Thank you for doing that. Thank you. Uy, sige, nandiyan pa yung mga numbers. Sige, lagay nyo lang. But see that? No, see the experience there. And if I ask you, okay, let's take time to read through the check-ins of everyone, right? Grabe yung isa-scroll ninyo dito. And maybe it will be more challenging for everyone to even make sense of the data or the input that we're getting, right? So that's why we like to use
Auto
Mentimeter.
summary that happens because of Mentimeter, and it's really helpful as a facilitator that it's there.
Yeah, definitely, Nikki. And then, but when we use these tools, no, yung Mentimeter, then ganyan, we do have norms pa rin. We always have norms. And these are things we remind participants na parang, yun nga, minsan kasi lalo pag first time ninyo mag-check-in, magugulat sila, no, ay, ano ba to? Parang ang weird, ganyan, diba? Because we're not used to being asked how we are. So, really just, setting up a safe space, making them feel comfortable na in this check-in, this is a safe space. And this is like literally what we like to say then. This check-in circle is a safe space. Let's remember that there are no right or wrong answers. The purpose of this is to really know where everyone is coming from. We share what we're comfortable to share. So okay lang yun, hindi sila kailangan mag-overshare, If hindi nila wala sila masyado sa mood mag-check-in and they just go, or they like, pass muna ako, I'll skip my turn. That's still input for us, right? And then we also remind them, we listen, we don't make judgments or side comments. So kunwari daw may nagsabi na, how are you feeling? And nangyayari talaga to, sa workshops. Mas makikita natin siya sa face-to-face, I think, eh. Pag nagtanong ka, one word, how you're feeling right now. Tapos may nagsabing, kilig. May nagsabi ng kilig. Tatawa talaga lahat ng tao. Diba? And pwede nating isipin na, that's just a human thing. It's okay, let's just laugh. But also, yung mga ganong reactions and side comments, kasi yun yung nagbibigay ng parang, paano ba? It tends to put parang a label to the sharing. Na, hey, that's a good one, that's a funny one, that's a bad one, that's a sad one, that's a draining one, yung mga ganyan, no? Kahit yung tipong, hey, I'm feeling quite ill, I feel really tired, and then even people going, oh, talaga, yung mga ganung reaction. I mean, we know that's human nature, but in check-ins, we try to remind everybody that we try to save those judgments inside comments, right? We just listen. We're just there to be present and to listen. And yun nga, maybe you could say, I don't know, I said it first anyway. Let's make it a safe space for everybody. For the ones sharing, but also for the ones listening. Okay? Not just one way. A safe space for listeners and a safe space for sharers. Okay? So at this point, I want to share with you some sample prompts And we will actually share with you parang 4 different categories that we like to use. Tapos habang nag-share kami, si Nikki rin, papashare ko siya kung meron siyang naiisip. Kayo din, share din kayo sa chat box, no? Para mas madami tayong naiisip na prompts. So one reason we want to get people checking in is to know how the group is feeling now. So look at that word, now. Hindi yung how they were feeling kanina or how they're feeling as how they felt as children. No, how they're feeling now, right? One prompt could be, how are you feeling coming into this session? Can be a one-word response, can be a sentence, right? Can be a headline. What color represents how you're feeling today? Something more metaphorical naman. Nikki, or maybe people in the chat box, do you have any suggestions for us to be here? Nice. Sumasagot sila. Hindi niya mapigilan sumagot sa check-in natin. Di ba? Ang sarap mag-check-in ng mag-check-in. Nikki, ikaw, do you have a favorite here?
One thing I tried from the book. So thanks, Lacey, for sending over the books when we ordered it. So one thing I tried out just a while ago was it was from the book. So it was like, what is your body temperature? And the team was like, what does that even mean? But I was like, let me just try it. And I was saying, feeling 35 because there's so many things happening, and my body's getting cold. Like just thinking about it. So my body's at a 35 degrees Celsius. And that was just such an interesting check-in. I learned so much and I was able to express so much just by that creative prompt that I was able to try out from the book.
Right. Yeah, that's a good one. Also, Nikki here, sabi ni Ange. Hi, Ange, you're here. What's your weather today? Internal weather report. We like to use that also. If your mood is reflected by the weather, what's the weather outside? Or let me check. Oh, emoji from Erwin. What's your emoji for the day? So yun naman, no, you don't need to just use words. You can also just use symbols, right? What item would describe you best from the choices below? A turtle, a rabbit, or a lion? It's from a big session, sabi ni Robbie. Right? Interesting. So yeah, keep the prompts coming in. Oh, sorry, Nikki. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that's such a fun check-in prompt. And I just wanted to say, Selena, it's actually hard for me to think of a prompt. You know this, whenever it's prompt time, I'm just, trying to be like, I gotta hide. But I'm getting so many ideas in the chat box right now that I actually want to note down and remember so that I can share it with my team next time.
Yeah. Nikki, you're not alone. Kahit kami sa Habi, kami like, oh, sino magpapa-check-in? May mga days na ganun talaga. Kaya, I mean, hindi, not trying na hard sell, no? But the check-in playbook, medyo lifesaver. Kapag naturo ka, sige na nga, I'll look at it because there are curated prompts there. Nakakatuwa naman yung mga tao sa chat box. I don't know if the same thing is happening in Facebook, Luigi. Kung kumusta ba tayo? Do we have check-ins there also? Some suggestions? Pero sumasagot kasi yung mga nandito sa Zoom sa mga check-in din. Right. For now, I'll go to the next one. So we have 3 more, no? Ito yung how the group is feeling now. We'll go next to share something that happened in the recent past. So ito, I like this particular ano bang tawag dito, category. Kasi imagine nyo, kunwari daw, pumasok kayo nung Tuesday, di ba? Nag-long weekend tayo dito sa Pilipinas. Hindi natin mabubura yung fact na nag-long weekend tayo at madaming ganap yung mga tao. Kung ano man yung ganap nila, they're probably raring to talk about it and, they want to share it. And we want to give them the space to be able to do that. Because it might be a distraction for them also, right? Or sometimes, and I mean, personally, I just genuinely also want to know what my teammates were up to. So we like to ask this, what's your win of the weekend? That's one of our favorites, especially when we have our Monday meetings. And you know what, Nikki, I'll tell you this. Monday meetings are not difficult to go to because I know my team will ask me how my weekend was. Yun yung pinaka, nagulat ako na effect sa akin ng check-in on a Monday morning. I don't really dread Monday mornings. Or what made you smile today? So yun, mapapakwento ka ako na, uy, alam nyo kasi nung lunch, sarap ng ulam namin, yung mga ganyan. Just give them a space to share those things. Right? Let's see the other ones. Oh, a meme that made you laugh, sabi ni Ash. What's the best thing you had done during the weekend? There you go. Use a song title to describe it. Pwedeng mga ganun, no? Yeah. or a movie line. Kanina nabasa ko yun, a movie line or a movie that captures the weekend for you, you know. So it's not just about the weekend always, you know. But we usually like to, kunwari daw, like it's 4 p.m. kayo nag-check-in sa amin, di ba? We can ask you about how's your day been like or how's the entire week been like for you. Pwedeng ganun din. Thank you for your ideas. We go now next to know what's on their minds. So aside from how they're feeling, but really what's there, what's actually occupying their headspace right now. And I use these prompts a lot. Excuse me. I use these prompts a lot in my classes actually with my college students. What's distracting you right now? Not something you would normally ask as a teacher. And then they would tell me honestly, uh, miss kasi po yung kapatid ko may online class din siya sa tabi ko right now. And nagre-recite siya. Sabay kami nagre-recite, ganyan. So that's a distraction. And I wouldn't know that as a teacher if I didn't bother asking. But that's useful input for me because now I know that my student will need something, you know, maybe like some accommodation there that maybe she can be engaging in the chat box instead of a meeting. Or this other question, Nikki, I use this with my students naman nung pre-COVID. Where would you rather be if not here in class right now? And they would tell me, Miss, I want to be in UP Town kasi kakalabas lang ng new movie na inaabangan ko. Or I would really rather be in bed sleeping because I finished my requirements until 4 a.m. and I'm just really tired. I'm knackered. Mga ganyan, no? So really just allowing the participants to empty what's distracting them at the moment. It's a very powerful tool also. Parang pag ano yun, napagpag nila, gano'n, napagpag nila, nakahinga sila. And at the same time, aware ka rin as a facilitator kung saan siya ano yung nasa utak nila. What are you thinking right now, right? Mga ganyan. Thank you, Ivy. Si Ivy nag-check-in siya. Nagsumasagot sa prompts. Nakakatuwang makilala kayo. Sige. And then finally, ito muna yung last category natin. To know their expectations also. So, kanina, tinanong din namin yun, di ba? What do you want to get out of this session? Or what brings you here? How do you want to feel? This is one of my favorites. How do you want to feel at the end of the session? So actually, pwede nyo rin sagutin yan ngayon kung gusto niyo. How do you want to feel at the end of the session? If we started with that as a check-in, how do you want to feel at the end of the session? It also puts you in that space na you're thinking, oh, I just said I want to feel connected. So mapapaisip ka rin, no? You can invite your participants to think, if you want to feel connected, what can you do or what will you do differently in this session so that you will feel connected? So it helps you, na yung expectation mo, you also contribute to making it happen, right? It's not just the facilitators or your leaders or bosses making it happen for you. There we go. So let me just check. Oh, sumasagot pa sa sa check. Okay. So at this point, I'll go to the last bit, which is a very important part of check-ins. Sometimes we forget, especially when check-ins, you know, become routinary and we're like, okay, she's blue, she's black, he's green, he's pink. Yun yung feeling nila na colors today. How do we make sense of the input? So processing is very important. Kapag nag-respond na yung mga participants natin, we want to give them time to listen. Kung ano man yun, kung isa-isa yun, give everybody time to listen. Namnamin yung mga narinig nila. If it's something like chat box or Mentimeter, give everyone time to read through the check-in responses. Because remember, the point of check-ins, it's not just for you to like say what you're thinking or for you to just, you know, share a piece of yourself. It's not just that, but also for you to stay connected with the other participants who are checking in. So give them time to listen or read. And then second, call attention to patterns, but don't generalize. And I think what I mean by this is, yung kanina kunwari, no, when we did the dots check-in and we were asking about how your week was, di ba ang pinakamaraming responses, parang 30 and 36 nandun sa thriving and not over yet. As a facilitator, it can be tempting to just go with the positive, quote unquote, positive check-ins. Ooh, I love that everybody, most of us had a thriving week, ganyan, you know, or thriving this week rather. Or, oh, okay, you know what, now I know it's not, the week's not yet over for us. But even the outliers, or like it wasn't even masyadong onte, you know, it's just like 6, 7 for the others. You acknowledge all of those check-ins. You just, you know, call attention to patterns, but you don't generalize. Hindi siya everybody. We're all still different. We're all still unique, right? Acknowledge all check-ins. There are no bad check-ins. Even if someone says, you know, I'm feeling really down, I'm feeling really stressed, and what, as a facilitator, should I dismiss that because that might drag down everybody else's energy? No, actually. Instead, I would invite you to acknowledge that and invite the group rather to use that input to support one another in the session. Remember what I said earlier about check-ins being a tool that invites us to take care of one another? Yun, ganun siya. So pag merong 30% lang yung energy, nakita natin yun, no? There was a wide range when we had that check-up, 30% to 99%. So I can go say something like, oh, wow, Nikki, I see that you have so much energy. We hope you can help us. Yeah, bring us with you so that we can finish this session well and nicely. And but then for those of us who are at 30%, we feel you, we hear you. Let's engage as you can and as you please. Ganyan, no? Yung sabi natin kay Kim kanina. Yun, so processing is very important also. Let's not forget how to responsibly seal kasi pinabukas mo eh, binuksan mo eh. Diba tinanong mo eh. Now, what do you do with that info? As a facilitator, you are responsible for helping everybody make sense of how these inputs will be useful for everyone, right? So at this point, let me just check my, okay, it's 5:43. Yeah, we'll adjust a bit dun sa mga last parts, but we want you to do this definitely. I'll invite Nikki to share with us the activity for this one. I'll
Yes,
share na lang my slides, Nikki.
let's actually make
Go, go.
a prompt right now. So you were asked to bring over a piece of paper here right now. So I want you to think about the next group that you will be facilitating for. So whether you are a student and you will be facilitating with your classmates, whether you are a manager and you will be facilitating at work, just think about the next group you will be facilitating for. And think, how might a check-in be useful with that group? What is, like Selena mentioned earlier, what is your intention that you would like to draw out through that check-in? And then the fun part is make a prompt or two for this group and write it big. So if you have a piece of paper, don't just like make a small scribble, make it really big, write it big. And it could be one prompt or two prompts. If you're feeling extra creative, just go for it. Write out those prompts, write it big, and be ready to test out your prompt with new friends in breakout rooms. So it's gonna be fun. When else do we get to meet new people in a like a webinar like this? So it's be ready to meet new people and test out those prompts. So you have 4 more minutes left to think about your prompt. Write it
Nikki,
big.
you know what? I
Shorter.
think with how quick they were all able to come up with prompts kanina, maybe 2 minutes. Let's challenge ourselves. Anyway, it's just one prompt. Just one prompt. And then we'll bring it to the breakout rooms.
All right,
Yung
your 2 minutes
nakalagay dito.
has started.
Yeah.
You now have 1 minute and 30 seconds. left.
Tapos dumadaldal pa kami. No? Sorry for distracting you. Sige, go na. We'll be quiet. Lacey, let us know na lang when the time is up, please. Thank you.
Yes, I'm opening the rooms now. Have fun.
No, Lacey, no. Not yet.
Oh,
They're just making the prompts.
they're making the prompt. Sorry.
Yes.
One
thank
more
you.
minute, I think. One more minute.
Thanks, Luigi.
Last 30 seconds for your prompts.
Luigi manual sound effects.
Countdown. Okay. 20 seconds left. And then we can proceed to the breakout rooms.
Mhm. But before Lacey opens the breakout rooms, Nikki
10,
will explain
10
to us what to
seconds.
do. Yeah. All right.
Right?
10,
5
9,
seconds.
8,
4, 3,
4,
2,
3.
1. Time's up.
All
All
right. So
right. Thank
is going to be
you.
happening in your breakout rooms. So you're going to have a great chance to test your prompts. So meet some new friends this Friday evening and really practice setting up norms for your check-in. Like Selena shared earlier, don't judge, no judgment, just listen. Those are some of your norms. And then take turns sharing your prompts to see what kind of responses you might get.
Mhm. So I'm
Any
chatting here, Nikki. Actually, I am telling Lacey that I think we're gonna have intimate groups, no? Kasi hindi pala tayo sobrang dami ngayon. So what happens is we can probably do 5 minutes, Lacey, instead of 10 minutes. So 5 minutes, we'll just do this and then, just test it out, get to know people. It's Friday, this is our unwinding time.
Mhm.
Tapos, siguro ito, just a reminder for everyone, if you're not really in the breakout room mood, um, I hope you will be na lang. Pero hindi. It's okay. You can stay in the plenary if you prefer to do that. There will be some staying in the plenary also, right?
Yes.
So I think, Liz, yeah, at this point, everybody enjoy. Go and meet new
Enjoy.
friends. You'll have 5 minutes. Thanks. Thanks, Nikki. Thanks, Liz.
Thanks.
Yay, the rooms are open and people are jumping into those rooms. I know some people are going to be with us in the plenary. So,
Yeah.
so for those who have remained here, if you want to volunteer to share
Oo
your
nga.
prompts with us, we'd love to test it out with you.
It will be nice to hear your voices actually. Unmute kayo kung may gusto mag-volunteer.
Yeah,
Maybe
come on.
you can raise a hand so we know.
Yes, for those who are here, if you are game to, show us what prompt it is that you came up with, we'd love to test that out with you. You can say in the chat box that you're game or raise your hand. Let us know.
Yeah. Iisip din ako. Friday evening prompts. Dito muna ako. Ito yung context na iisipan ko. Hmm. I would, actually on Fridays, I really like to give a prompt, Nikki, yung check-in na gusto ko dito ay win of the week. Like what's the highlight of your week? Kind of, just acknowledging that it's almost ending. So yeah, I'll test that prompt. And if you're with us in the breakout room or in Facebook, you can try to answer that for me. I'm testing this prompt. So what's your win of the week so far? It's Friday evening. What's your win of the week? There. Then I'll invite you, Nikki, Lacey. You wanna share?
Sige, I'll share. Itong mga workshops na to, so this is the third workshop na kasali ako. So, yun talaga yung win, seeing people in our workshops, having fun. Kayo?
How about the others? Nikki, or
I
if
think
we have
Hannah,
participants who want to share.
yeah, Hannah,
Somebody
do you
raised their
share?
hand. Yeah, Hannah. Yeah.
We'll ask to unmute you, Hannah.
Oh.
What's your win of the week, Hannah?
Hi, Hannah.
I will. You have to click
Can
unmute.
unmute. Yeah, ask to
Okay.
unmute there. There.
There we
Okay.
go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
My win of the week is not just a small win. It's a big win actually, because one of my learners is now more confident in reading, and in terms of accuracy, speed, he has improved a lot. So I think that's my win of the week. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. Si Hannah pala ay si Hannah na dati nating Habi team member also. Hannah, it's nice to see you here.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Hannah, that's amazing.
How about, let's see, who else would want to try their prompt out here in the plenary? Or if kayo, Nikki, Luigi, baka may
Ash is
pa-prompt
raising her
kayo dyan.
hand.
Ash is raising her hands. Yeah, Ash.
Oh, sige,
Go
sige.
unmute.
Go,
Go.
Ash. Welcome back, Ash.
Win ko ang mag-join sa lahat ng Habi at positive workplaces. So, tara na. So, for this one Friday night prompt ko is, ginagawa ko to sa kids ko usually pag marami kami extra time. Like, if my scale, yung background ko pala, like, I'm going to show them a scale of something. Like, for example, maybe like, how will they describe today? Tapos, pwedeng sunny, tapos pwedeng cloudy. Tapos dahil nasa Zoom kami, they can annotate where they are. Kasi minsan when we ask them, what's your weather today? Minsan parang, So we give them options para it's easier for them to identify what they're feeling to help them out. Yeah. And I think okay din siya for adults. Let's see.
Yeah, like right now, sayang. We cannot do it right now kasi wala tayo dun sa slide that we can annotate.
Can't annotate right now, but that's such a brilliant idea. But we can still answer it, like the weather, where in this. I think I would put myself in the pinaka right, like sunny. I feel like I'm coming with all of you today, so parang it's so fun. I'm having so much fun. What's your answer to that, Selena?
You know what? Medyo dun sa right part ng scale. Sabi nga ni Jeffrey, no, light with scale, ganda rin ng idea. Nandun din ako kasi parang na-energize ako. Ang dami nating nakakausap at nakikilala ngayon. Na-energize ako nito. Yun. Ash, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I haven't tried that.
Thank you.
I'm gonna try
Really
that
unique idea.
feature soon as a check-in. Ang ganda.
Yes,
Yan.
thanks for sharing. Pabalik na ating mga participants.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks, Ash. Thanks, Hannah. Also, Jeffrey, thank you. And everyone who's with us in the plenary. And we hope you also picked up there some prompts, no? Na pwede nating magamit. Kami din, there you go. Sabi ko kanina, I'm here to learn also from everybody. I just picked up some new prompts from you guys. Thank you so much. So, people are coming back, I think.
Yeah, just 20 more seconds before everyone is officially back with us. I think some people are maximizing the time that they have in those breakout rooms. Naghahabol pa ng chikahan and like sharing with each other. So that's great.
Yeah.
5 seconds before everybody comes back.
Lazy, are they automatically gonna be summoned back into the
Yes,
yes, they
yes.
are. I can see it happening. Dun, dun, dun. So great. All right, we're admitting a few may have dropped out from the call. But welcome back, everybody. We hope that the 5 minutes was not bitten because sabi ni Nikki, how many minutes? 1 minute. Sabi ni Nikki, 1 minute would be enough to build a connection. Now, sana yung 5 minutes medyo nasulit ninyo, no? Just before we go to like our kumusta for everybody, can you tell us in the chat box, how many people were you able to connect with in the past 5 minutes? How many people were you able to connect with? I'm going to type mine. I'll put 67. Those who were with us in the plenary. Right? So it's nice to know, no? Maybe some of us had more intimate experiences in the breakout rooms. Baka mas nakapag-usap kayo. Some were able to like connect with as many as 4, 5, right? Dami rin. And then a lot of us were actually in the plenary where, just to share with you also, or if you will rewatch this, you'll hear that Ash and Hannah also shared some things with us there. So thank you everybody for indulging us there with some prompt play, and we hope that you got some new ideas. But at this point, we actually want to ask you kung kumusta. And just in the chat box now, same thing, just in the chat box. Can you tell us what makes a good prompt for you? What makes a good check-in prompt?
Ooh, Robbie said making the connection. Loribel said something relatable.
Right? I can imagine, no, Nikki. Alam mo, sometimes meron akong may na-experience akong check-in na, what Pokemon are you? Oh my goodness. Wala akong masagot. Sabi ko na lang Pikachu kasi siya lang kilala ko. Hindi ko, hindi ko masyadong masagot yun. So parang yun nga, that's a good point, something relatable, yung lahat makakasagot, right? Quick to answer, that's a good point, Leory.
I think a
Quick
lot
to
of
answer,
people
lalo na if you have
for
big
time
groups.
in. So someone, if you
Yeah.
have groups or if you don't have that much time, some people are saying something quick to answer is something that makes a
Mm-mm.
good check-in prompt.
Easy to answer, sabi ni Aaron. And I think ito naman, that's the beauty of yung metaphors na mga check-in also. Kasi minsan ang hirap talaga i-put words. How are you feeling right now? I'm like, I'm just so over it, Ang hirap sabihin ng mga ganun. But when you're asked, can you tell us how you're feeling using like a color? I'm kind of feeling, neon green, ganyan. And then you can try to explain that. Easy to answer. You can try metaphors there also. Nako Jeff, buti ka pa kaya mo sagutin yung Pokemon. Hindi ko masyado masagot yun. Personal, sabi ni Robbie, established rapport. There. Simple, Cherry said simple. Engaging, sabi ni May. Right? Something reflective. Right? Ay, nakita natin yung sabi ni Loribel naman. Minsan ang prompt na ginawa mo ay ang question na gusto mong itanong sa'yo ng ibang tao. Interesting. That's interesting. And honestly, I don't find that wrong. I don't find that selfish because these ideas of ours, I'm sure meron at merong magbe-benefit din yun. Maybe sila rin gusto rin nilang itanong yun sa kanila, right? So, okay. So at this point, let me just check my time again. 5:59. Oh no, I promised them we'll finish at 6. Sige, so just to wrap things up, no. Just some reminders for everybody. Now that we have been exposed to so many check-in prompts, it's not just about creativity here. When we look for the best check-in prompts, we want to make sure that the prompts are things people would be comfortable to answer. And you consider also, magkakakilala ba sila? Hindi sila magkakakilala first time. Maybe you can use the more like the deeper prompts if say you're with your team for 3 years now and you're so used to one another already. So just make sure that it's something comfortable to answer. Kaya nila. And then allow participants to creatively express themselves also. Would be good yung sinasabi ko kanina about using metaphors. Not everyone can articulate how they're feeling easily. So those mga creative prompts natin, movie, emoji, ganyan. Those are simple ways, even like the scribble, the doodle, a word that starts with M, something like that. Anong M ka ngayon? We sometimes do that. It's a way to help our participants or our peers who may need different ways to express themselves. And then yung last point ko dito is make sure that your prompt is something that provides the group with useful insights. Kasi yun naman, ang danger natin yan, when we use metaphors, for example, what body of water are you feeling like today? And then everybody just goes, okay, stream, puddle, waterfall. And then, dahil metaphor siya, hindi natin sure kung ano ibig sabihin ng lahat ng yun. And as facilitators, we don't want naman na lalagyan natin yung kulay yung sinasabi nila, di ba? And I think it's a good reminder na rin for us, no? So what check-in prompts or what check-ins are not? And I think Luigi pasted a while ago, there was like a question about what's the difference between asking how they're feeling and Luigi, what's that? Sorry, can you remind me? What's the difference between how they're feeling versus
getting to
getting
know
to
you.
know you.
Yeah.
There, thank you for that. Check-ins are supposed to tell us how people are feeling now coming into this session, their present selves, ganyan. They're not icebreakers, so I wouldn't recommend check-ins like what superpower do you which superhero do you want to be? And then I can just go, freely answer something like, I want to be Wonder Woman. I want to have invisibility powers and stuff. Instead, try nyo siya i-frame na mas, given what's happening, like maybe given your context now, what superpower do you want to have? So lagi i-contextualize pa rin siya. Hindi siya parang fun-fun lang. It's not those, those cards that we can buy and then you go to a party and then there's these like icebreaker questions. So it's different from that. It's more about acknowledging the present self. It's acknowledging about how we're feeling in the moment. And we use that input again to inform our sessions, right? Um, Kanina, nag-check-in kami na may isang getting to know you. That was the first prompt. And I would say, it was a check-in na feeling ko for the group, it was a good one because hindi tayo magkakakilala. So hindi siya icebreaker, hindi naman siya getting to know you, but we just wanted for you to be aware of who the people are in the room because we want to establish the safe space naman. But here, let me admit something to you. So first prompt natin kanina, remember it to ask something like, what one word that best describes your occupation. I realized that was a poorly phrased prompt because nakita niyo yung variety ng answers natin kanina. Yung iba sumagot ng job nila, yung iba dinescribe yung job nila. So kaya magandang ginawa niyo kanina, nag-test kayo ng prompts ninyo. Kasi as a facilitator, gusto mo rin talagang ma-anticipate saan pwedeng pumunta tong check-in na to. Right? Para makahanda ka rin ng processing mo. Para makuha mo yung kailangan mo na inputs. Another thing, if you're a teacher like me, I want to remind that check-ins are not a review of prior knowledge. So I don't go, okay, check-in. What do you remember from our lecture last week? No, it's not a space for that. Again, it's about the present self, their human selves, knowing how they're feeling. And finally, they're not routinary attendance checks. So, siguro dito, yung try nating alalahanin now, if you ask people, to put in the chat box their responses, it's not just a matter of, say, reading out na, okay, nagsulat na si Jeffrey, nagsulat na si Robbie, nagsulat na si Ivy, ganyan. It's not that. Maybe it can be that too, but primarily, what's your intention? We want to know how everyone is feeling, right? So yeah, some reminders for us as we start using check-ins maybe, hopefully, in our context. We won't have time for a Q&A. We're so sorry. But if you want, you can put it in your feedback form maybe or email us later. You'll get our socials so you can stay connected. But just to wrap up what has happened. Ganyan, no? So what's a check-in? We've talked about that. It's an activity, it's a prompt. Why are check-ins important? Nikki talked a lot about that. And yung pinaka-takeaway ko dun sa sinabi talaga ni Nikki, high-quality connections. The check-ins lead to high-quality connections. Kahit simple lang siya, napakaunti ng oras na kailangan mo, but that leads to high-quality connections, which contributes to a lot of things in the workplace, in teams, right? And then how might we use check-ins? Natuto rin kami mula sa inyo dito. Things to remember there, intention, your norms, your prompts, and your processing also, right? Now, at this point, we want to just share with you, Nikki, you can start some other things that you might want to watch out for.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you for having me over, Habi and Selena. I'm so grateful that you gave me this opportunity to be here with all of you today. This is actually like the first leg of our series that we public webinar series we're doing at Positive Workplaces. So started off with this collab in Habi. If you enjoyed the topic and you want to learn more about leading with kindness, join us in our other webinars. The details are on the screen. And I'm also putting here our Facebook, the Facebook page of Positive Workplaces, where you can find more details. And like my big hope is that you enjoy this so much that you want to really see all of the updates. So please follow us on Facebook, go to that link, follow us, and you'll see more of these free webinars that we keep doing. We always do 3 free webinars every month at Positive Workplaces.
Yeah. Thanks, Nikki. Thanks for being with us also. And, if you go to their webinars, I might bump into you there also. I attend their webinars as well. They're really great webinars. And then also, this is the first of a series of workshops we're offering under Habi Live every Friday this month, this November. This is actually part of our anniversary. We're turning 7 on, I think, Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. We're turning 7 years. Habi's turning 7. So after this week's workshop, next week, if you want to know how to learn to change celebrations, how do we do virtual parties and gatherings, um, Sherson will be leading that one, and then we'll be there with you. Yun ang magiging happy birthday namin. So we hope you can join us there. There's also going to be another one the Friday after that, November 19, is about learning to change perspectives. So it's in partnership with Inclusivity and School of Deliberate Futures, where we'll do a human library experience. This one, quite interesting. I can tell you, yesterday we prototyped it as the Habi team, and it's such a different experience. We hope you can be part of. And then finally, on November 26th, as the last offering of Habi Live, there's going to be the Teachers Teaching Teachers, which is an annual event we like to do like every November in the anniversary month. And even if you're not a teacher, please come. I would argue that everybody's the teacher in life, everybody. So this is where we come together, and here's what's unique about it. There's not going to be an agenda, no set topic yet. We don't know what we're going to talk about. But you join us, you let us know what you're thinking, and then we'll decide as a group in a very democratic way how that workshop will go. So you get to meet a lot of people there also, right? And then some other things to look out for. Habi Plus, our online courses will be available on November 30 onwards. So we're coming up with some learning for change micro courses there. And then this also, our podcast, Learning with Change. So if you want to know more stories about, say, other workplaces, maybe other schools, museums, activists, everything where learning happens, how these spaces have navigated change, those stories will be captured in season 3 of Habi Hour. Right? So around the end of November, that's happening also. Because here's a tip. If nabitin kayo, if you want to know more about check-ins, Season 2, Episode 1 is entitled Let's Begin with a Check-In. We hope you get to check that out also. Pakinggan natin yung kwento ng mga guests natin din. And then, if you don't have it yet, there is an anniversary promo for the Check-In playbook. So you get to buy it for just $350 a copy. I think it's 400 pesos a copy talaga. Work of heart. I can tell you that, work of heart. And yung sinabi nga ni Nikki, honestly, even if you're using check-ins na so regularly, what it has kasi, it has these prompts. Yeah. So para siyang, okay, based on my intention, I can open the book and then try to pull up a prompt from here. But also some bonus things like you get to learn about check-ups, check-outs, mga ganyan. And a lot of stories from our friends in Habi, but also our community members and allies, right? So that's the link, bit.ly/the Habi Shop if you want to get your check-in playbook, discounted only until November 30. And then here, I know a lot of you are wondering how to get your materials or your certificates here. So some reminders for everybody. One, please make sure that your email address in the registration form is correct, because that's how we can contact you, right? But if you access this link right now, so we'll paste it also in the chat box, you can answer the feedback form there, right? And then that also, after answering your feedback form, you will be getting your certificate. And then I have an ask actually. Di ba nagsulat kayo yung mga yan in-illustrate na sa paper na prompts ninyo? There is a space there where we will ask you to upload your prompt. Yung photo na yun, take a photo of it and just please upload it, because we're planning to make like a check-in wall, maybe just to continue to inspire more people to try and do check-ins. So we'll make that available. Maybe you'll see it next week if we make a collage ready for next week. Pero yan, we're planning to share it. So sana ma-upload ninyo, abangan din namin. So we know of everyone's prompts. Hinga muna ako. But I guess after more than 2 hours at this point, if there's anything that I want to share, siguro, why I am such a big advocate of check-ins, even if it feels weird, at first. Parang people will wonder, bakit siya ganyan? And sometimes I get that from my students also. They would wonder, like, bakit siya ganyan magturo? Ba't siya nagpapa-check-in palagi? Ba't siya may pa-check-out palagi? But this is one feedback I got from my students. I really appreciate how this class never forgets to ask how I am. Check-ins make me look forward to our time together. So imagine that. the impact that check-ins can have. And I know Nikki has a similar story in their workplace. Nikki?
Yeah. So, I never intended for positive workplaces to be as big as it is right now. It just so happened that sometimes, like, I'm invited to give a talk. And then there was one talk where the people started, I did a check-in with them. And then people started asking me, hey, can I intern with you? And that was never my intention to advertise that. But they joined us, and suddenly, because of their help, positive workplaces is bigger. And this is something that my past intern said. I always look forward to the check-ins and check-outs we do at every meeting, which, as simple as they seem, really make a difference. And it's made a huge difference to her, feeling seen, validated, and important. And she carries that with her even after the internship. So it's such a powerful thing that you can practice. So simple, but so powerful.
Mhm. Thanks, Nikki, for sharing that. And I know that, in positive workplaces, di ba, Nikki, gusto natin yung mag-create tayo ng ripples. And that's one thing I can tell you that happens. It starts with experiencing a check-in. You experience it. You see how good it can make someone feel. And then maybe the next time you have a chance to do it and facilitate one yourself, you do it. And then that person who experienced the check-in with you, and it's true for my students. I heard that they're already checking in all their org meetings, in all their group meetings, when they go to their youth orgs outside our school. They are passing it on. They are really sharing this gift of empathy, of high quality connections with everybody that they meet, because they know how it can impact someone's life, even just one person. Let's remember that. And at this point, so just to check out from this session, I know it's 6:13. Yeah, and so matatapos na tayo. But let's check out, because we want to know also what you're thinking. The workshop series that we have is learning to change, right? And one of the things that we put forward here sa Habi talaga, what we like to say is change can be designed. As learning experience designers, we believe that change can be designed. And I'm wondering, try to visualize that world where you are checking in with your team, with your family, I don't know, with your friends, with your classmates. Try to visualize that. What change might check-ins bring to your team? So let's see the chat box responses. What change might check-ins bring to your team? Easier to start conversations, diversity and belongingness, psychological safety, closer connection, appreciation, better connection, more open and easy communication with the team, compassion, openness, right? Keep your check-ins coming in. And I'm also going to invite you, check-outs rather, inviting you to also read through the chat box, because these might be our realities soon, tayong lahat. If we try it out, and if we make this contagious, let's have a culture that checks in, that cares about people, right? It will bring us more connected, open with each other, connection and care, create a safe space. There you go. And that's what we want, right? That's what we want, because we know what high quality connections can now do to our team cultures. Right? So if you haven't checked out yet, please continue to check out also our friends on Facebook. But at this point, I would like to thank everybody for sticking with us. It is 6:15. It has been a pleasure. Nikki, just jump in. It has been a pleasure to host this first Habi Live gathering for you. It has been a pleasure to be with you, Kite Friday evening. Thank you for sticking with us. Please continue to connect with us. You have our Habi socials here, and then you have Positive Workplaces socials also. They have a YouTube account, so if you want to rewatch their webinars also, this will also be up on their YouTube channel eventually. But yeah, thank you everybody. Thank you very much. I'll now turn us sorry. At this point, I think we will say goodbye to those
Yeah.
in Facebook.
In
But
Facebook.
for everyone else in Zoom, please stick around and let's just take a group photo. We'd love to capture this memory. Right?
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Facebook people.
Thank
Have a
you. Please
weekend.
turn on your cameras so we can take a group photo. So Lacey will be
Yes.
if you
I'll
can
take
open your cameras, no, please.
I
So we
stopped
can have
sharing.
a group photo.
Yan.
There.
Do you
Nice to
have your
see.
prompts also with you? Do you have your papers? It
Maybe we
will be
should
nice if you can
bring
just like,
out.
hold it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have it lang with you. Pero kung
Yay.
hindi kaya, okay lang ah.
Yan.
Ako book na lang din. Ooh, Jeffrey,
Yan.
twins.
Tapos wag muna tayo mag-chat. Wait. Para hindi lalabas yung pop-up. Okay.
Okay. Huwag mo na
There
mag-chat.
are 5 pages. So,
Hindi nyo
smile
alam
lang
saan
tayo.
kayo. Smile lang kayo.
Okay, wait. 1, 2, 3. Okay, next page.
Second
I can hold
page.
that.
Wala
Wala
mo
na
nang
siguro ako
gagalaw. Ngiti lang. Ay, may nag-ano pa.
Waiting for...
Kasi papasukin natin siya ah,
Sige, papasukin natin. Sige.
para makasali siya. Ayan, napasok.
Pindutin ko na. Ayan, admit.
Papasok. Hindi ko siya
Nangangawit na yung smile nila. Bilisan nyo.
Okay na.
Okay, wait. Hindi ko pa nasa shot. Okay, 1, 2.
Okay, ganun.
Next page.
Second
Pang
page.
third page na to.
Okay.
Okay,
Sige,
smile.
ngiti lang.
1, 2, 3. And
Okay. Fourth page.
fourth page. B
Sige,
page.
baka nasa fourth page kayo. Ngiti lang. Konti na lang.
And
Last
then
na.
third,
Last
last one.
page.
1,
Ngiti lang. Baka nandito tayo.
1, 2, 3.
There. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Salamat. Salamat po. Kita-kita po tayo next
Everyone,
week.
have a happy Friday.
Happy
Thanks,
Friday. Happy weekend. Thank you, Nikki, and Positive Workplaces. And Selena,
Nakalimutan ko tanggalin yung libro.
bili po
Thank you.
kayo.